Remember a while back when I made a video called Why Does the Xbox Lock You Out of Games? In that video I covered games like Resident Evil Village, a game that I own on disc. Theoretically, I should be able to take the disc out, pop it into my Series X, and install it and play the game without connecting online. Well, that wasn't the case. Despite it being labeled an Xbox Series X game, I had to download a specific configuration file from Microsoft servers in order to launch the disc game that I just bought. Well, I'm happy to share that this is no longer the case, with some caveats to consider. I think it's going to be a lot easier if I show you what I mean rather than just tell you. So we got a whole bunch of different Xbox games from a variety of Xbox consoles to test out. So here we go. Here we go. Don't take my word for it. This is something you can try at home. Let's start off by showing you what version of the Xbox OS I have downloaded to my Xbox Series X. This is the September of 2022 update, which was released on September 6th of 2022. From this point forward, my Series X is going to be completely offline. We're gonna start out with Resident Evil Village. Now, this is labeled an Xbox Series X, Xbox Series X / Xbox One game, okay? It's very confusing branding. However, we're gonna install it offline. I installed Resident Evil Village straight from the disc, and I didn't even wait for it to finish installing. When it said ready to start, I hit go, and boom, I was in the game. There was no update notifications. This is the Xbox One version that was installed from the disc. Well, it seems like they fixed it. I can now play this game completely offline by installing it directly from the disc. Well, let's try a few more and see if this wasn't just a fluke. This is a more recent release near Replicant. Now, it's labeled as Xbox One up the top and Xbox One, then Series X. So when you buy it off the shelf, it contains the Xbox One version. We theoretically should be able to run the Xbox One version on the Series X, no configurations. Let's try it out.
This is the power of the Black Book.
I'm still not convinced, so how about Devil May Cry HD Collection? It's purely an Xbox One game, no Series X branding whatsoever. I'm gonna pop this into my Series X, let's see what happens. It installed the full game with no errors whatsoever, no configurations needed, it just runs. Alright, so I'm convinced Xbox One branded games will work completely offline, no configurations needed from the Series X at this point. But what about Series X branded games like Judgment? In my previous test, I was able to install it completely offline, no updates, and it just ran from the disc, at least the 1.0 version. Well, let's try it again. Okay, so it still works. Good, so I can play Series X games offline. But I'm still not convinced. Let's try something else. How about Deadly Premonition for the Xbox 360, a backwards compatible game? Let's pop it in and... oh, I kind of expected this to happen, but I guess that's all right because this is a 360 game and backwards compatibility is sort of a bonus. I never expected it to be natively compatible with the Series X, so I guess you're gonna have to connect online if you want to play Deadly Premonition or any other 360 backwards compatible game. Same also applies for OG Xbox games. You're gonna have to connect online to download the backwards compatible version. You can't just run it off the disc. Sorry. Hypothetically speaking, let's say we're in the far future and Microsoft's shutting down the Xbox Series X, Xbox One servers, and you rush out there and you download all your digital titles. Now, whoosh, the server has been severed. There's no connection between your console and Microsoft servers. Can you still play your digital games offline? Here are some examples of me running some of the digital games I own fully offline. I don't have to check in with Microsoft servers to play them. Now, I can't guarantee this will be the same in the future if there's not some sort of handshake that's needed months down the road or years down the road, but from what I've tested, it seems like games that you fully own digitally should theoretically be able to be played offline. But what about Xbox Game Pass games? Games that I am technically leasing and don't fully own. Can I play those offline without checking in? No. You have to check in to play the game that you don't own. Sorry. Now, there are some other things that you need to keep in mind. Games that don't contain the full version of the Xbox One or Series X game on the disc, those are known as stubs, by the way, like Forza or Halo. If they don't have the full game on the disc, you will have to connect online at some point in order to play them and download the rest of the game. That's another bigger issue for another time. Now, I don't know the exact update that fixed the disc check-in problem that locks you out of your discs from playing on the Series X, but it happened sometime between February of 2022, when I made my "Why does the Xbox lock you out of games" video, and September of 2022. So one of those updates along the line, as long as that's installed on your Series X, you should be able to play fresh off the shelf discs. Now, if you buy an Xbox Series X, like new old stock, say this is the year 2032, and you buy a Series X straight off the shelf, as long as it has the September of 2022 update installed on that Xbox, then you should be able to play games offline. However, current tests still indicate that the player has to connect to the internet at least one time to activate their account on that system in order to play anything at all. That initial check-in is still not fixed, but after that check-in, that one time, you will have a device that is capable of playing your own discs that you purchased offline. So, thanks Microsoft for implementing something that should have been there from the beginning. That's kind of the purpose of a disk drive. I want to be able to play the discs that I own, and it took them a couple of years, but they did good. So I gotta give them props. Thank you. And thank you to Does It Play and Chicken Breast with Sauce for reporting this and letting me know so I can make this video and let you all know out there that the Series X just got a little bit better. I've been Hikiko. Thanks for hanging. Bye.